into it this week. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Replayer Podcast. I'm your host this week, Dan, and of course, joining me is Pagan McGrath.
Hello, Mickey Graff.
Mickey Grath.
Yeah.
I had to do that
Pagan
because of
plays.
how often you say Dan Morris when you introduce me. And
I always do. I say Daniel Morris.
you always say Daniel
Daniel.
Morris.
I don't know why I say that.
Daniel Morris. Anyways, joining us this week, we have returning to the show, friends of the show, we have Maria and Steph Chicory. Stephanie Chicory.
Chicory.
Welcome back to the show, guys.
Hi. It's good to be back. It's the 101st episode.
101st.
It's the 101st episode.
And it's already better because better guests.
Better.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Them spotting words.
Drew might have an issue with that, but Nolan will probably be like, yeah, you're right.
He'll be like, yeah, right. No, it's all downhill from here. I'm sorry.
But yeah, we can talk about that. We can jump right into, we got to celebrate our 100th episode of the Replayer Podcast last week with the one and only Nolan North joining us along with Drew Lewis. And we had one amazing conversation, and
It was
we've been
so good.
plenty of great feedback from you guys.
So great.
Yeah. So if you wanted to just throw out there, what was your favorite part of that episode last week is Holy Roadhouse.
Holy Roadhouse.
Holy
it was
Roadhouse.
I
Oh
was
my
listening
God,
to
what a
it
way.
like at work the whole time, and I was just laughing to myself with my headphones on. There was so many good bits to it, like the whole Roadhouse thing. It just kept coming in, the whole Roadhouse. And just the little stories and stuff that were coming in between, like the inside about the Jerry Lansing story and things. It was just so interesting, and just the behind the scenes of things. And I feel like a lot of it was stuff we already knew, but it's just so nice to hear it,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
I feel like the Jerry Lansing part, at least, was something a little different. Like, I don't think I've ever heard Nolan elaborate on that character before. And that was actually one of my favorite things that came of that.
Yeah, I think so. It definitely was like some insider knowledge that you're just like, all right, yeah, cool, I can see that. Yeah.
I can't hear Steph.
Oh no, she died.
Did your headset turn off?
Stef.
Your microphone?
Yeah, something did anyway. Quick, lip read.
All right.
There you are.
There it is.
It swapped my microphone for some.
Aha.
Oh,
Sorry about
Welcome
that.
back.
she's back.
Hi. Yes, the Jerry Lansing thing. Absolutely love that story. Just the idea that it's connected to the fact that he was actually doing capture on Uncharted, and that it actually came out of like a real thing that was happening in his life. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I just loved how they just went on their little tangents, as they always do. Some of their stories they came up with, like just going off into these things, and like the whole Nolan talking about like driving, driving down the road, and sometimes you become aware of where you are, and all of a sudden you're like, where am I? I didn't remember taking this road. I do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I
was
feel like a lot of us do.
Can relate.
So
Can
bad
relate.
though.
Pay attention,
shouldn't.
folks.
Yeah.
It also
Maybe
started.
our podcast does not endorse this type of driving.
I mean, I
focus on
never
the
do it
road.
on purpose. So
Right.
No, that's true. That's true. It never happens on purpose.
it started off the Roadhouse tangent within the next Replayer Zoom that we had, and then that turned into a tweet thread of all of us coming up with different versions of Roadhouse, like Doghouse,
Yes.
Treehouse.
Doghouse.
Yeah, there's a Twitter thread now of replayers just doing a different version of that.
Oh.
Yeah. It was just like when I was a kid, I always wanted a treehouse.
Yeah,
I
like, I
always
gotta go
wanted
take a
to-
shit in the outhouse.
Best little whorehouse.
There we go.
There we
There
go.
you go, Stephanie.
Oh, it's so good.
Dolly
I love
Parton throwback.
the Roadhouse thing is just so good though. It's like I always wanted to get like a t-shirt with like the dictionary definition of Roadhouse, and then just have underneath it like an appropriate end to any conversation.
There you go.
That's a good one. I want a t-shirt of You Puppy. And I just want like a
puppy.
silhouette of PJ's like face, like a real cool like artistic style. Just You Puppy.
Oh, because he
That's
called
what it is.
you a puppy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the members live chat. I don't know if anybody else got that, but if you're a member on Retro Replay YouTube channel, it's available for you once a month. And that was good crack. And we were just making because it was. I think we were talking about, or was it on Trailer Talk when we
It
were
was a
Trailer
trailer
Talk.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
were just saying that myself and Stephanie didn't see it in theaters, obviously, when Ghostbusters came out originally.
You
and he was
puppy.
like, oh, you
Yeah.
puppy.
Yeah.
See,
I
I
want
wanted to
it
go
on a
on.
t-shirt.
I can make
wanted
that
to go
shirt.
on there. It's like, PJ, you're not the only one here who saw it. Some of us
Yeah, how he's
are a little
bragging about like
older.
seeing Star Wars in theaters.
Yeah. See, it's funny because like myself and Steph can relate over that because both Steph and I are millennials. So we'll just like be like, oh, did you? That's nice.
Right. I was 11 when I saw it.
No way.
Ghostbusters in theater. Yeah.
I
It
think
came out
I
a year before I was born.
saw I saw the second one before I saw the first one.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah. Because we had it on the VHS. It came on TV and we recorded it on a little VHS. And so I saw it on TV and then I saw the first one.
Mhm.
So I kind of I know a lot. The second one is not as big. People don't like regard it as good as the first one, but it kind of has a special place in my heart because to me, it's my introduction to Ghostbusters. Is because that was the first one I saw, and then I saw the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good film.
I mean, I guess
It was
rolling right
really
into Ghostbusters talk here because of trailer talk this week. I also kind of like Ghostbusters 2 a lot. I don't know why I get so much flack from fans in the just like the Ghostbuster community for whatever reason. A lot of people shit on Ghostbusters 2, and I can't count how many
I
times
don't
I've heard like a random thing be like, "Oh, this sucks!" Like Ghostbusters 2. Like Ghostbusters
Is
2
it
wasn't
random?
that bad.
No, I
Ghostbusters
like
2 is
it.
all right,
Both
actually.
good.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's with the purple ooze, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
the
the
museum.
slime.
Yeah, it's dope. It's such a good film.
yeah.
I remember
I actually think
seeing
I prefer it to the first one.
And Vigo.
the Statue of Liberty
Vigo.
walking down the street. That whole thing with the Jackie Wilson
Dancing.
playing in the background.
Yes.
I'm just like, yes.
Two
this
things
is
I
my-
love about that movie: Peter McNichol because
Yes.
he's hilarious.
I love
So
him
great.
so much.
So great.
And the Empire State Building to the what's the name of the guy who does that song? I have it on my computer. I listen to it from time to time. But I love that song. I
Empire
love
State
that
Building?
scene.
The Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty part.
Sorry.
Jackie Wilson.
Jackie Wilson. That's it. I was thinking something. Anyways, but that song
Maria
to
just said
the Empire State Building going on the street. I love those scenes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's not as good as the first one, but still. Anyways, Afterlife.
I don't know. I mean, I think Ghostbusters 2 was actually the first one that I remember seeing. I don't know if I saw the first one like first and then the second, but the second was always more memorable to me.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
the purple ooze and the museum and stuff. But like I do still remember the demon dog, so I must have seen it.
Mhm.
But I think we just watched the second one more, and I think the second one is more. I actually think the second one is more kid friendly. I think there's
Yes.
more
Mhm.
like slapstick comedy or jokes and like that.
For
So that
sure.
myself and my brother probably got it more than we did the first one. And when going back to the first one was great. But I love my favorite scene in the second one is when Dana's like to her like with Venkman and the baby, and she's like, "Oh, it's getting late. I should really put him down." And Venkman's like, "Do you mind if I do?" And she's like, "No, not at all." It's like, "You're small, you're chubby, and a terrible inconvenience on your mother." And I just thought it was the cutest thing. And I only got that in my adult ears that he was putting him down verbally.
I didn't get that joke
before.
until ages ago or like
So
later
good.
down the road. I was like, I never got it as a kid, but then watching it as an adult, you're like, he's mentally
so
putting him
great.
down.
It's such
I
perfect
always-
humor.
oh.
And I don't
I-
know if that was like, I don't know if that was scripted or not. Like, it doesn't seem like it's scripted. It's just great.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. Like I always quote the Jonush, the artist and stuff, the bit where he walks around and he's like, "Everything you are doing is wrong. I want you to know that."
Yeah.
So I'm saying Peter McNichol and the way he screams, I love it. Like I laugh every time the way he yells.
It's such a
Yes.
that's the movie that
Great.
that made me want to go to New York when I was younger. Just
Oh.
it's so
Yeah,
iconic.
same.
Yeah.
Well,
it's-
actually, Home Alone too.
I mean, so yeah.
Yeah. That's a big one for
Fair.
me and my brother. Like Home Alone 2 is like the biggest, like, oh my God, can't wait to go to New York and go stay at the plaza.
That movie just made
I
me
think
want to have a
Christian
talk
Christian
boy.
did.
I wanted a talk boy for Christmas
really?
that year.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it made us want anything other than going to New York. But then, like, America is so far into us. Like, we were into that
Yeah.
at the time when we saw it. And
Yeah,
it was
I
snowing
mean-
at Christmas. We were like, wow, we need to go to New York at Christmas
Whoa.
because it's like the best Christmas ever. Because in South Africa, as is in Australia or any of the Southern Hemisphere, it's summertime in December. So it's like pool parties and barbecues and stuff like that for Christmas. So
That sounds like a fun Christmas.
it actually
great.
was. It's a very fun Christmas. It's a different Christmas for sure. It's not Christmassy vibe. So when we moved to Ireland, it definitely feels Christmassier because there's all these beautiful lights and everything. And it's like anytime it goes dark, it's quite cold. And there's like scarves and hats and hot chocolate and mulled wine. And it's great. Whereas like in South Africa, it's like 35, 40 degrees and you're just melting. And it's just swimming pools and
I'm just
like
checking.
you have
That's
a
like
Santa
80
hat,
degrees.
but that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
South
Yeah.
Florida.
It's nothing for you in Texas, I'm sure. But like 30 to 40 degrees is really fucking. And have you seen me? I am pasty as fuck.
For people who listen to this
Practically
podcast
see-through.
and don't know Celsius, Pagan considers 70 degrees hot and she's melting.
Wait a minute, don't do that because I don't know what 70 degrees is like.
We did this last week before the show when
know.
you were hot and you were saying, oh, it's like
21 degrees is hot in Ireland.
yeah. It's
When
not
we
that
go on
hot.
holiday, it's probably more like 26 to 30. So 26 would be like 78 degrees. Does that sound
Yeah.
better to you?
That's average.
It's
Ah,
warm.
God's
It's
sake.
warm.
Yeah, that's a late spring in North Carolina. So.
Yeah.
All my European friends would be like, I know what you mean, Pagan.
See,
Yeah,
now,
it was 91 on Saturday, and that's
Yeah.
34 degrees.
now
33
in
degrees.
context, I
Yeah.
can relate to that more when I lived in New York, because in New York, in the winter, it's quite cold, but then in the summer, it gets quite warm. It's kind of in the same like longitudinal. Is it longitude or latitude? I always forget. But
Yeah, but I mean, at
That
the
is
same
warm.
time, like, I mean, our summers can get quite warm, where it's like
Yeah.
26 degrees, so it's like 78 degrees Fahrenheit. And then winter, obviously, you'll get minus.
it must be something to
9.
do with the fact that you're an island and you're surrounded by water, so there's more
Oh,
of
for
like
sure.
wind chill. Because in New York, it gets into like the hundreds. You know, like
Mm.
And also, I remember to be in the defense of my UK people. When it was like 32 degrees Celsius in England, we didn't have aircon in our houses.
Right.
So there was no way
Yeah.
to escape from that heat. So when it gets that hot, like with us, I'm like, oh, it's that degrees over here. What are they talking about? It's not even hot, but I've got aircon.
Yeah.
So, but over there, I remember we literally had buckets of ice and we'd have our feet in them because we would be so hot. And I remember my dad, we'd sit in the kitchen one time and he had the fridge door open and he was sitting next to the fridge like Homer Simpson in that episode, like trying to cool down.
That is so true. That's literally
Yeah.
just what happened. We had a heat wave the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It was getting up to, I think, 26, 27 in where we were in Ireland, but in the UK, it was definitely going into the 30s.
Yeah.
And there's no reprieve. There's
Yeah.
hardly any air conditioning, even in shops. There's hardly any air conditioning. So we really don't have like an escape. We all have to buy fans or some sort of portable aircon from Argos. It all gets sold out. And I'm sure nobody is on here from Wayfair or listens to Wayfair, or buys from Wayfair and listens to this call. But I see you. I see what you're doing. You bought your aircon on the fucking 1st of June, and now that the heat wave's over, you're returning it within your 30 days. I see you. I know what you're doing.
Pagan's personal problems here on the Replayer podcast.
Listen, I respect the ingenuity. I don't know what you even call that, because they've bought it for 30. So you have 30 days to submit a
I
return.
used to
for
do that
the
with
item.
video games back in the day when you could do that. I would buy a game, play it, and then return it and get my money back, or I'd exchange it for another game.
Yeah,
Back in the day.
I live in kind of a hurricane corridor.
You're like,
and
you're that
anytime-
guy.
True.
Anytime that like the lights and power are all out, people run out and go get generators because they don't know when their power is going to be back on.
Yeah.
So they'll run out and buy generators, and then as soon as all the power has been restored in the area, everyone starts returning the generators or selling off the generators.
It's so crazy. Like, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it because you have legit, like, you're in consumer rights to return your item within 30 days. There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm like, that's quite cheeky. Like, you just bought it. Like, and then you're like, nah, I don't need this anymore. The heat wave has passed. You may take it back.
Mm.
Okay.
it's gonna happen again. Just hold
I
on
know.
to it.
Right?
I know. You would think, but oh well. I think I'm just lazy. I respect them because they have to go and like print a label and bring it to a place and drop it off, and I'm just lazy. I'm just like, I'm never gonna use that thing again, but it's in my house now, so
You
Mhm.
I
never
gotta
know.
store it somewhere.
No, I completely understand that.
I don't know how we got onto this again, but back to
Sorry.
Ghostbusters.
Yes. It was the heat and wanting to go to New York.
There it is.
Okay.
Wanting to go to New York
Full
because that was the film
circle.
that
Yay.
made you want to
So,
go to New York.
Maria got
It also
to
reminded me, hold on a
Oh,
second. The
tangent.
purple ooze, it actually did also remind me of like the Power Rangers movie,
Okay.
like way back. Did anybody remember that? The purple ooze?
There was-
Ivan
was
Ooze?
there
I
purple-
didn't see
purple
that.
ooze? I
I never
remember
watched
that
Power
movie,
Rangers.
but I don't remember there being purple ooze. It's been a while.
All right. If
so-
you're listening to this or watching this, please comment below and tell me that you remember Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers. I think it was
Spoiler,
like 2000
Pagan.
something.
Again, spoilers.
No, there's no spoilers here. It's purple ooze.
It's
it's
in the trailer.
Oh my god.
I remember the bad guy
Someone back me up here.
that looked kind of weird and purpley red.
Yes.
Purpley.
Oh, it was okay. Yeah, there he is. I see it. It's like, yeah, there we go.
Yep.
It was Ivan Ooze, and I don't know when he came
Ivan
into
Ooze.
Ivan Ooze. 1995 Power Rangers movie, The Mighty
My
Morphin Power
name is
Rangers.
Ivan News.
It's iconic. Anyway, that's kind of what
I'm
that
from
reminded me of, and that's maybe
I'm from
why.
elsewhere. I'm
like
Ivan
the second
Ooze.
one more. Can you imagine what an unfortunate name? Sorry, friend.
Oh, sorry,
Ivan
I'm getting the giggles now.
Ooze.
It's so good. And you have to Google him, and then you can get the real giggles. His fucking
Google
Face.
for the giggles.
I don't want to Google Ivan Ooze. Just saying.
you should, but
Careful
just
with
Ivan
giggling the
IVAN, not I have an. That's the definite.
My search
no.
history is bad enough.
It doesn't need any help.
Just nah.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing
So-
clips, and it's the purple ooze. But anyway, that's probably why that like myself and my brother assimilated more to the second.
You like the ooze.
Ghostbusters.
You like the ooze.
No, it's just like relative at the time, 95, when we were like 4.
10
We
years
watched
after
the Power Rangers
Ghostbusters
movies.
2 came out.
Yeah, so it's like something similar, right? The first one came out in 91. Was it?
The first
91?
Ghostbusters movie?
Yeah, when did that come out?
84.
84.
Oh, 84. Ah, okay.
Mhm.
This was just
Um,
discussed on Trailer Talk.
I think the second was
Trailer
a
Talk?
couple
Have I heard of that
What?
years later.
show?
It was really
What's
close.
this?
Yeah.
I was going to try to get Steph's
You go
a
ahead.
chance to talk about Ghostbusters as Maria was able to come onto Trailer Talk and expunge all of these theories. And I feel like Steph's
True.
got some things she wants to share as well, and then we can bounce that off of Maria. So
Yes, let's
Shoot.
go.
Oh, well.
Bring it.
So I have my own podcast, the Gen X Replay podcast. It's been on hiatus for a little while, but we did an episode where we talked about the original Ghostbusters film. And on that, we had a special guest, Peter Flahiff from the Daily Good podcast. Also, really, really great inspirational podcast if you want to listen to something that just kind of has feel good news to it. So we all talked about the original Ghostbusters film. Right about the same time the teaser trailer had come out for this new one. And you know, it definitely was an experience. Like, you know, that we've seen on Stranger Things, like the kids dressing up in the little costumes
God,
and
it was
stuff or whatever.
great when they did that in Stranger Things.
It was so good.
Amazing.
But for us, it was lunch boxes. Yeah, and there was a cartoon that ended up following up with that was inspired by the show, and of course, video games were just kind of taken off there in the mid '80s. So of course, video games of every movie were. It was like every movie had an associated video game back then. So.
Whether they had anything to do with the movie or not.
True. It's true. And I go to Dragon Con in Atlanta on an annual basis. I haven't been in the last couple of years, but and we're not going this year, but hopefully we can start going back again next year. But they have a parade at this convention. So part of the convention is an enormous parade, and all these different fan groups and interest groups get together and make entries into the parade. So it's a lot of costumed people, but it's also cars, like art cars and stuff around certain fandoms. So you'll get the DeLoreans from Back to the Future in the parade. You'll have floats from particular fandoms like Halo or there's a lot of big groups around certain things. And one of the things that's always there is the Ghostbusters. So like it's not just costumed people, but it's also cars. So there's people from all around the country, mostly on the East Coast, will bring their cars, their Ghostbusters cars to Dragon Con. Some of them are replicas of the hearse of the Ecto-1, but others are like inspired by the Ecto-1. So like a Volkswagen Beetle that's been painted like the Ecto-1.
Cool.
And things like that. So it's one of my favorite parts of the parade is to see the Ghostbusters, and they kind of have their own club. They're actually a social group, a cosplay group that goes around to different conventions, and I believe they do some charity work. And I know a woman from the Charlotte area here in North Carolina who is part of that group. Yeah.
Amazing. So what is your take on the new film? Are you excited?
Very excited. I'll be honest. Part of me is like a little worried that they might lean a little too heavy into the fan service for us Gen Xers, but I don't even care. It looks great.
I don't even care. I love it.
Well, I mean, they got a good writing team. They got original people who, know what went into the original story.
Yeah.
Putting together this new story. So it's not like someone, a completely new crowd coming in and trying to reinvent it. It's really just, it's inspired by the original completely. So I'm feeling confident that I'm gonna like it.
I also think like having the son of the original director direct this new movie is also just such a great plus. I think they're definitely not going to be able to like mess this up in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like for the original fans, and to go too far away from the story or anything, because they have a lot riding on their shoulders, including like, it's almost like it's in their heritage. Like it's been passed down. It's like, now you may take and run with this story. So I'm excited for that. I think that connection's cool.
The new generation thing. And I wish Harold Ramis could have been here to be part of that too. Because I mean, just
do you think he'll make an appearance?
Who?
Harold
Ramis in the movie.
Well, they've shown some photographs
in like a flashback.
I mean, like as a ghost, like they did with
to kind of like do like a CG kind of like recreation of him.
Yeah, like they did with Carrie Fisher in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it just not as a full character, but I'm just thinking as a just an acknowledgement to say that
kind of thing.
And I'm in a way like I don't want to go too far into it, but I was thinking a kind of nice thing that they could do is like as a sort of ending for the movie, is because the movie is a tribute to him.
Yes.
Would be because wasn't there a part in the trailer where it said that she didn't know her grandfather like at all, that he appears and as a like maybe a final farewell, they put him into the trap, and it's kind of a kind of that kind of tribute of like, because I don't think they can have the Ghostbusters without him being in it, and it is called Afterlife after all.
True.
So
it would be after
because the funny thing is Yeah, like I mentioned it, like I mentioned it to people and I say, do you think he'll be in it? And they were like, no, he's dead. I'm like, it's Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's all about dead people.
It's
You're like,
about
I'm
them.
well aware. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just
So
so
I'm
having specific
thinking-
context.
I'm kind of wondering because the whole thing behind Ghostbusters 3 that it was so hard to get made because there was like the whole falling out and stuff, and that there's a lot of regret behind it, you know, that it couldn't be made because Harold Ramis unfortunately passed away, that they might do this as a tribute to be like, this is the final send-off type thing for Harold Ramis. So it'd be nice to see it, you know.
I mean, considering that Dan Aykroyd is helping write the script for this movie, I'm sure he probably does a lot to pay tribute to that. I mean, the whole movie is centered around his character and his family, you know, and after that. So Dan Aykroyd is one hell of a writer, you know, like, I don't think a lot of people realize that, like how he's actually written most of the movies he's in.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like it's going to be like Steph's saying, I think it's going to be there's going to be fan service, but I feel like they're also trying to pass the torch into the new kids. And so I feel like the original cast is going to be in it, but I think they're going to be on the sidelines because the idea is they're supposed to be like you want to show that the kids are capable of handling the ghosts, and so if the old cast have to come in and be like, no, stand back, we saved the day, what's the point in passing the torch over to a newer generation? So I think they will be more of a side character and the kids will be like the main top thing. But I'm looking forward to it. It's like
I agree with that. I like you said, Maria, I think they're the center, and that they've been the center of the trailers so far as
And it's just like, I really love that touch where the glasses that McKenna Grace is actually wearing are the same glasses that Harold Ramis was actually wearing through the first and second movie. And I just think that's just such a nice touch. And even as an actor, like that must be such an overwhelming presence. To have, like, because your character's defined by, I guess, a lot of what they look like and the shoes they're wearing and like how they're walking, and it'll frame a lot of how you're going to interpret the character. And to be given these glasses that have been handed down from the original movies and to wear them throughout the whole movie and be like, these are now your glasses, and the story is like they've been passed down from your grandfather and you have the same eyesight and this, and I'm just like, fuck, that's so cool. Like that must be, that's such a world of depth that a lot of characters just don't have.
And that's the thing. I was super excited when this first trailer came out like a year ago, and so I've been looking into this film since that first trailer came on, because when I saw that trailer and they started doing the slow pan over like the spores and mold and all this, and it was all the Egon references, I was like, oh my heart. Oh no, because he was like my favorite character in Ghostbusters. I loved Egon. I thought his whole, like, I had a slinky once and I straightened it. Like, he's so deadpan.
I love when he's like, I'd love to scan your brain one day, you know, like the
whole baby ticklish.
Egon's always one of my favorites too.
But it's just, I just had chills like seeing that trailer and just seeing all these like references to him. And I was after him, when I heard he passed away, I was like, oh man, it was a kick in the gut. I was like, oh, so I do hope it's going to be a tribute, and you know the final credits are going to go for Harold. And it's
of course.
Like in loving memory.
So,
it's gotta be.
Yeah. So it's one of the few movies coming out that I'm actually excited for, you know, that I'm like, okay, I'm actually pumped for it. So
this looks good.
I like to think that off of your theories and postulations there that they will pass the torch in the movie, especially from that one scene where they show the kids in the car. She comes out on the little, like, you know, jacked up version, like they got the little trap on the wheels. Like, I feel like
perfect.
If anything, Dan Aykroyd's character is probably going to play a role in here. I'll help you guys innovate some new versions of the technology, and then they're going to be the ones that all do it and implement it in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Like they showed us in that clip, like, here are the kids rocking and rolling. You see, you know, granddaughter Egon there rocking the proton pack and blasting down the street. And I'm like, that scene right there gives me goosebumps when I see
and
that.
That's like one of the when they interviewed Bill Murray, like way before this project was happening, and one of the reasons why he held off on it so much was like, nobody wants to see a bunch of old fat guys running around with proton packs. And it's like, we do, but he has a point. It's
Yeah.
like give it to the new generation and give it a leap for new kids, to do a thing. But it's also paying homage to the originals, and I think he's got a point. So I think the old characters will have a very strong part in it, but I think it is going to be a lot more about the kids and showing what they can do. And I think at the end of the movie, it will be the final send off of the old Ghostbusters. I don't think it's going to continue, because the whole Gozer thing as well. They're not going to rebring. This is the last showing of Gozer. This is going to be the last beating. They can't keep bringing it up.
No, for sure.
So it's going to be a lot of like tying up loose ends, and it's going to be a lot of like, this is the final package, final seal, and then we let the new generation take it type thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think like it's going to be really nice to see these kids like you say, just basically a new generation take it and see what happens with it. In a way though, I would like to see this closed, like you said, like with the Goza thing. But I just mean in general, like I think this would be a really nice closing, and I have a feeling they're not going to do that. And I have a feeling at the very end of the movie there will be something to
there'll be a hand come out the
to
grave.
a second one, and I mean, in a way, I'm kind of like, oh, cool, we'll get more content. But at the same time, I'm like, don't just turn out content for the money or the studios or the whatever. Like, just like do it for the love of it. If it's a good story, just close it, wind it up, and let's just put a key in it. And
I mean, I have noticed now that people don't make movies anymore; they make franchises. Like people. They don't tie a story up. It's like you have to watch a story, and 4 of them are coming down the road. And I'm like, I don't want to invest in a series. If it's good, but it's just also like I like things to be wrapped up and to go. That's a good movie. It's a one-time thing, and I like that. It's just that sometimes when they do that and they go, oh, but wait, there's more, and it's like, no, stop it.
I know.
That's why some of the greatest things.
Stop.
Some of the greatest things out there are the things that are really finite. Like there's very little of it, and you're like, oh, it's so good. I wish there was more, but at the same time, if there was more, it wouldn't be quite as good.
Yeah.
And that's happening in all mediums, I think, now, especially video games. Like, that's a big struggle in the video game industry, where companies are more likely to keep doubling down on something that sold well rather than put the money into something new.
Yeah.
Try something new.
And I would much rather that. I would much rather someone do something completely new than keep rehashing the same brand, because it just feels like you're using the name just to get you're using the name to get the fan base, and then you're not giving the fan base what they want. You're just going, oh, this is this, and everyone goes, oh, it's another movie, and then it's like, this isn't it though. You've just used the brand. And I feel like I did not like the 2016 Ghostbusters. I didn't like it at all, and I felt like that's exactly what they did with it. They used the Ghostbusters name, and it was just it didn't fit into the original timeline. I know it was a reboot, but it was just it didn't feel like it had its place. It was a completely different movie. It was goofy and over comedy and fart jokes, and
I almost enjoyed it as a standalone thing. Like if I separate it in my mind, like this isn't Ghostbusters, it's its own thing.
If it was something else, I feel like I could have enjoyed it more if it wasn't trying to be Ghostbusters. I always
kind of like the Star Wars Christmas special.
Yes,
it's just kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I just think I was going to say, like, in reference to what you were saying, like, instead of rehashing the old stuff, I think there will be a change. And PJ was actually mentioning this in the Drew Soup meeting that we had recently for members. If you're interested to know more about that, you can go to the members page on YouTube for the Retro Replay channel. But he was talking about how, like, there will be a shift and there will be a change now of like indie movies rising again, and there will be genre defining movies being made now, because they just can't keep turning out this content from this brainless sort of like money content. And it will rise. And we're talking about like the rise of indie films, and like publishers are going to start investing more into producers will start investing more into indie films and studios as well. But yeah, I would agree, because there's a lot of time where I'll see an advert like, and I said it in the trailer for West Side Story. Look, I said it straight out. I was like, I am a fan, but not really, because why are we getting this story again? Like, why is it being remade? Like, it was already made, and a lot of people absolutely love that movie. But why is it being remade? If you tell me you're going to remake Grease, why? Like,
Yeah.
don't bother. It's already
Mhm.
done and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and just leave it. Even if it's dated, just leave it. It's supposed to be dated. It was made in that time. Like, it was just made then. I would much rather you make a brand new story.
Right.
I mean,
and give me
if
that.
you're not going to add something to it, don't bother
Yeah.
remaking it. And it's like, I understand like remaking old black and white movies because they're all black and white movies with shitty special effects. Yeah, remake them by all means, but don't remake something that came out 10 years ago. It's,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, for sure. Like the Spider-Man reboots. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
There's-
Like, you only just made
Suicide
that film.
Squad just keeps
Suicide
getting
Squad,
over
yeah, I'm
and
like,
over. I'm like,
guys,
what?
come on now.
I want to say at least too that there's something special about old movies that
Yeah.
you can't capture it. Like, I find it surprising when I go back and I watch a movie that's made in like the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, and I'm like, this is beautifully filmed
Mhm.
when they didn't have the technology. But like the
Yeah,
way they
yeah.
filmed movies back then, like even then, they shot things in wide screen. They shot things with these really wide angles, and it still translates today. Like, you can watch a movie that came out in the 50s or 60s that's beautifully shot, and it's like, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
you can't recapture that. And it's not
Like-
bad either. Like, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look grainy. It doesn't look filmy. Like, you can watch
Yeah.
an old movie on Blu-ray now, and it looks crystal clear
yeah.
because it was the way they shot it back then.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot more like they back then they probably put a lot more emphasis into the writing and to make the movie what it
Sure.
was. But now it's more just get it out. It doesn't matter if it makes $1 million, it's $1 million we didn't have. Get it out type thing. It's just, and it's to me as well. It's this same pool of actors that they always pull from now.
yeah.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
it's like, I mean, all the Hemsworths, gotta love them, but can we not have them in every movie?
All the Chris Pratt,
Gotta love him.
Chris Pratt's and
Just-
everything now.
Yeah,
I love
it's
Chris
like,
Pratt, but he's in everything.
everything now, and so there is a lot of the movies that keep getting made, and it's the same pool of actors, and there's some people on Broadway and there's some people out there that are probably phenomenal actors. It's like, give them a chance. Just give them a shot, because some of these independent movies that you see or some of these foreign films, the acting is outstanding because they are hungry for it and they want it. But you got like, all these millionaire actors that are in everything, and they're just like, oh God, do I have to do that line again? All right, sorry. It's just kind of like their heart is not in it. And sometimes it's just, I don't know. I want to see fresh faces. I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a tricky balance too. If you're indie, the thing that you want is funding to be able to do your film, and being able to get a big name gets you the funding.
Yeah.
As opposed to a franchise, which I remember when the most recent Star Wars trilogy was being cast, people are like, who are these people? But franchises can take a risk like that and get unknown actors because people are going to see the movie because of the franchise name has been established. So, if you didn't know who Adam Driver was, or you didn't know Daisy Ridley, it didn't matter because you were going to go see it because it's a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. And it's a good launching pad for actors that, need to get back into the career. But at the same time, I'm just like, I just need some fresh faces. Like, I remember when they were casting the Uncharted movie.
I was
and
just thinking about that. And
I'm
Tom
excited
Holland.
about it, but I'm still a little.
Tom
like,
Holland's been in everything.
Yes, and I also
love
as well.
him, but,
I saw before they cast him, I saw Chris Pratt with the Nathan Drake outfit on. I was like, get off,
No, from Maria. Just like, absolutely not. Next, please.
I was like, take
Who
it
else
off.
you got?
Take it
Who
off.
else you got?
Take it off. Chris Hemsworth, get off. No Chris Hemsworth.
No Hemsworths.
No Hemsworths. So yeah,
including the lost Hemsworth.
The last no Girth Hemsworth either. But yeah, it's just to me, I'm just like, we'll give it a shot.
Honestly, as an actor, I can only agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not an actor, but yeah,
I can only fucking agree with what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even just me. Like, I mean, I've been through so many castings, but I've also like I've lost jobs out to Saoirse Ronan, to Alicia Vikander, to models and things like that as well over in England. Lily James, I think. Yeah, possibly Lily James as well. And I'm just kind of like, did you want to cast somebody else, or did you always think they were going to go for it? Like, I mean, was it worth sending out a casting if you kind of had them on board anyway? Like, I was just like, I'm just wondering, like, if that was a thing. And I don't know. Genuinely, I haven't got an answer to that. I'm sure that they're just like, yeah, we're going to send a casting because whoever's going to be right for the part is going to be right for the part. But then it happens to be Alicia Vikander or Saoirse Ronan or whatever. I'm kind of like, but did you? Like, did you want somebody else? So, what did you?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they write, they're not looking for who's right for the part. They're looking for who looks good on the poster and who the fan base of that character, of that actor will come because like all of the Tom Holland fans and all of the Chris Hemsworth fans are going to come and see this movie that they might not know anything about because they're in it. And so they're not, but then you got the fan base of like people who play the games or read the books or like, well, hang on,
that person's not right for this part at all.
Yeah, that's not the right person. And so that's I feel like they look good on the poster and they'll go, well, Chris Hemsworth's in it, so I'm going to go and see it because I want to dribble for an hour.
Yeah,
you know. So I feel like that's more about what it is. It's about getting the fan bases in from the outside. But I mean, if whatever, I mean, I'm not a producer. What do I know? But
I mean, in comparison,
it would be interesting. Sorry, I was going to say it could be an interesting topic for producers or casting directors to come on and talk about that. If anybody knows anybody, hit us up.
I was going to make the comparison to how like Nolan and Troy said, if you want to get into voice acting, good job. Just wait for us to die. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, that was Troy's like presentation speech or something like that at one of the award ceremonies. That was so genius.
Yeah.
Like here's the things you need. Get a good studio, get a good mic and equipment, wait for Nolan North or I to die.
Yeah,
that's when you have your opening. I thought
absolutely
that was so
or Laura Bailey.
No, it's not true at all. But I thought it was such a great play, and I think it's funny because he took the piss out of himself because like everybody's just like, oh, Troy Baker's in everything, and it's Nolan North is in everything, and they are, but there's also other people.
Oh, for sure.
There are other.
There's also other people there.
Yeah, it's been because I'm in the Bloombox Studios, Steve Bloom's training workshop series, and he's been able to get so many great voice actors to come and be guests in the workshops and classes, and I hear over and over again people saying, you know, not everyone is right for this. I audition all the time because I'm not always the right person for the job. You know, it could be someone else. They're listening to a voice and of a performance, not, you know, it's not about you. It's about what they're trying to get when they're casting that role. And I wonder if for voice actors, that's their advantage as actors.
For sure.
Because, you know, no one's trying to sell their face on the poster in that particular case.
I've heard a couple of workshops on voice acting that say a lot of the same things. Like Crispin Freeman says that too, about they're looking for the voice. They're hearing, not seeing. So they don't base their casting decisions on what you look like. How you sound.
I always find that interesting though, when I don't like, it's only recently since pretty much listening and watching Retro Replay that I've started taking notice of voice actors. And every time I watch a movie now, I look up who's that voice. I want to know who they are. But before then I would play games and stuff. And then I would go and meet the voice behind the game. And I'm like, is that what they look like?
Right.
Like, not in a bad way, but it was like, they are nowhere near what I think they look like. Like when I met John St. John, Duke Nukem, I met him, and he's like, you know, an oldish guy, white hair, just looks like a gentle guy, and he's like, "Help to the king, baby," and you're like,
it's a sweet old man. Like,
hi, you talk about boobs a lot. So to me, it is. I think it is with voice actors. It's like they can change their voice completely, and they can change their voice.
Look at the guy who does Homer Simpson's voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to go more close to home. Look at Troy's voice for Joel.
Yeah.
And he even says it himself that he went into the audition being like, there's no fucking way I'm going to get this. Are you kidding me? Did you read the brief? Because I read the brief and this is not me. And he walked into an audition room and there was all these like real big, tall, like burly guys with like plaid shirts on or whatever. And he's like, that guy looks like he's gonna get the part. That guy is definitely gonna get it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was his voice that got him the role. It wasn't what he looked like. And I think that's where, like, Stephanie and Maria, that you're so right. Like, it's just, I think voice acting opens up more opportunities for you as an actor.
Yeah, I think so.
Than just acting, because unfortunately I've also been turned down for things like, you actually look too old, or you actually look a lot younger than we expected, or you're a little taller than the lead and we actually want somebody shorter than the lead. And I'm like,
I couldn't audition for anything because they'll go, you're too short, you look too young, you got a weird accent, get out.
they could be looking for that one day though, Maria, so don't go and shoot your shot.
We're looking for a short cockney midget. There you go.
Somewhere Game of Thrones might be
A real young looking.
I got asked yesterday if I was old enough to drink, and I'm like,
Oh boy.
I'm
Wow.
35.
honestly, ride that wave, Maria, because you're gonna turn 60 in a minute and it's just gonna be like, oh shit, no one's gonna be asking you that anymore. So ride that wave. I've been to the point now where I don't even get ID'd anymore in the supermarket, and I'm like,
Oh,
Wow.
but don't you want to? And Adam's like, oh, you don't get ID'd. And I was like, well, it's because I'm wearing a mask and you only see this part of me who's already just like, give me my booze. But when I take the mask off and I have no makeup on, I look 12. So
Well, she was,
I'm sure.
She was giving out drink tickets and she's going through the line and she's like, oh, you drinking alcohol? She comes up to me and it's just me sitting on the chair and she goes, you're not old enough to drink, are you? And I'm like, I absolutely am. she was
I'll
like,
have
oh,
you
I'm
know.
sorry. I'm
Booze.
sorry. I was just like, oh, okay. Thanks for the compliment. But
I
give me
got
a beer.
into a pub once because I didn't have ID, and they thought I wasn't old enough to get into this pub in Temple Bar. And I didn't even drink at this stage. I was younger than 24 and I only started drinking at 24. So actually I was just because there was a really good musician on and I wanted to see who it was. I was like, who's the musician? He said he doesn't know. And I was like, okay, well, can I go inside and check? And he's like, do you have any ID? And I was like, no, I don't have any ID. I just wanted to see who the musician is. You weren't able to tell me. And he's like, I don't think you can go in. So I convinced him of my age. I was born in 91 from like pop cultural references that only people my age would have gotten. I was like, does it help you to know that I was I saw the original Power Rangers, like the OG, let me just tell you, like the white and the red and the black.
he
Come on.
allowed you in after saying that?
Yeah, but I also made pop culture reference that were Irish at around the 90s. And if you weren't, like the Morbegs and stuff like that as well, Tina, if you're listening to this, or Janine, you'd know what the Morbegs are. But the Morbegs was like a TV show for kids in the 90s, but stopped at like 90 whatever. Sorry, or in the early 2000s, right?
But
And
that's
it was
like
just
public knowledge still, though. Like anyone could know that.
It's public knowledge, but nobody who's born now would be watching it because it's off air. And how would you find it? Like, it was an old show, so you wouldn't be able to really look at it on YouTube. You might find clips. And then eventually he was just like, yeah, okay. And just let me in. I was like, great, thank you.
There you go.
It was the Morbegs that did it, actually, honestly, because nobody really knows about the Morbegs unless you were born in the 90s, because you were raised with it then coming into early 2000s, like when you were 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Starting to show our age. I
I
remember
used to
going
watch
to
the
like
Ghostbusters cartoon as a kid.
I saw the Ghostbusters cartoon.
yeah.
It was
Real
a
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters show.
It being out, but I think
We
I
had a
was
little, I think we still have it, actually.
I
We still
wasn't
have an
really
Ecto
interested.
1 somewhere.
I used to have a
Mhm.
full
Oh,
costume too. I had the
Cool.
whole get up. I had the trap,
Oh,
like you could step on it and it would
cool.
pop open in a little proton pack.
Yep. I
Yeah,
had
we
the
had a little
car. I had the
Yeah.
car.
I had the car.
I had the car. I had the firehouse. And but the thing
Cool.
is, all of my toys were broken when I got them. So
When you got them?
yeah. So what it was is we had a guy who lived across the road from us, and he lived on the back of a toy store. So when toys got broken, they'd throw them out. So he brought over the Ecto 1, and it had the back door was missing on it. So the only reason I know something came out of the back of it is because I saw it on the commercial, but I never had the back door thing for it. And I found the Ghostbusters tower at the side of the road, and my dad picked it up for me. I had the tower and everything. So, yes.
Amazing.
So I was like, oh, it's a Ghostbuster.
It also came with like a little mini trap.
Yeah,
Came
no,
with a mini ghost trap.
no, didn't have that.
Ah,
Didn't have any of that. And then my
Missed
dad,
it.
my brother turned it into a convertible. We cut the roof off,
Oof.
and I was like,
Why?
Oh.
do you are you still friendly with your brother? Because
He's dead now.
yeah, he died that day.
I hit him in the face with an action man.
That's fair. That's fair.
Shove that Ecto 1 in his face.
Yeah, screw you. Boof.
No, I would smack him in the face with a GI Joe and be like, and now you know.
Now you know you don't do it. Well, I used
knowing
my
is half the
toys.
battle.
So, you know, it would have been, you should have used an original Transformers because those things were made out of solid steel.
Oh yeah, they were.
Oh yeah.
So I was
Wow.
also a big fan of Aliens. It's like my favorite movie.
Mm.
So I used to have Aliens released. Aliens didn't, but Kenner Toys released this line of Aliens toys.
Yeah.
So I have the
Those are
little
great.
xenomorphs and stuff. And so what I used to do in my Ghostbusters house is I used to turn it into an
Ooh.
alien's nest.
Oh
So-
Wow.
So I stuck my little man up against the
So
wall, and then I got a paper towel, stuck it over it, squirted it with water, and then it would like stick them to the walls, and they look like they're all cocooned. My family's like, "What are you playing?"
Ghostbusters
like,
versus
"That's
aliens.
Awesome.
I'm like, Egon got
Ghostbusters versus
impregnated.
aliens.
I love it.
That was the
Egon
beauty
got
of
impregnated.
having
Like a
action
Gen X
figures
crossover
as a
we never
kid.
had.
When you were when
Yeah.
you were a kid and you had action figures, you can literally make any crossover you wanted.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just like, Egon got impregnated.
Chest burster.
G.I. Joe and He-Man, man.
Are you gonna play the new Aliens game when it comes out, Maria?
Yeah, I want to get it. It looks like it's going to be good, but I'm just kind of as the same thing with Ghostbusters is I'm a little reluctant with like the games because I just hope it's going to be good because I've been burnt a lot in the past.
So I have
Um,
thoughts on that too because obviously Aliens is historical for having one of like the most oversold games ever with Aliens
Mm.
Colonial Marines.
That was a
I
piece of
have a
shit.
lot of faith in the new one because one, Aliens Isolation was really good. The studio that's making the new game is really, really passionate about Aliens. Like they were actually they were asked by their parent company, like, what game would you want to make? And they said, we would love to make an Aliens game. And they're like, well, we have the license to that. Knock yourselves out.
Mm.
So they actually are making a game that they
Oh.
cared about. that
Nice.
They wanted to make. And I'm really
I've
excited
seen
for
the
it.
gameplay
Nice.
trailer for it. Like it looks fun.
It looks really
um,
fun. I'm excited
yeah.
for it.
That's wonderful.
I'm gonna get it for Xbox. It's unfortunately not crossplay, which sucks. Hopefully they'll add crossplay because I want everything to be crossplay. We can blast
Yeah.
aliens together.
Yeah, I need a good Aliens game because Colonial Marines sucked balls.
Alien
Old
vs
house.
Predator was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I'll
Anyways.
give you that.
Now we're going off on a completely side tangent.
Massive tangent.
with aliens and Ghostbusters. I want that crossover now. I need some action figures.
Yeah, make it happen. Get the action figures.
I mean, I've got like some Resident Evil action figures. Could have those like Ghostbusters versus zombies and
I have,
aliens.
like,
it's
I
technically
have
the
so
same
many
thing.
Legos. I have so many Lego kits and
Mm.
stuff that I could do like a Marvel Assassin's Creed crossover with some Star Wars and yeah.
I mean, I got Ezio.
I
there,
would.
too.
I just put them all together. Fuck it. What a great world.
And I want those plastic dinosaurs in there as well. You know.
There you go.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where you get it, where your Peter Venkman has like a pet dinosaur T-Rex that he rides into battle.
rides.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
There was a toy line like that too when I was a kid. That was dinosaurs that were like mounts, but they had like rockets and shoulder packs, and you could shoot machine guns and like little rocket launchers off them. Oh man, those were
Yes.
fun. I forgot what those were called.
I don't
I
know. It
feel
was
like I
amazing.
know what you're talking about.
If you know what I'm talking about, please leave a comment and remind me because I used to love playing with those
Yeah,
when I was
yeah.
a kid.
Good call.
Anyways, I think that's about time to wrap up the show tonight. Before we go, I'll give you both a chance to share your socials and anything you might want to share with our audience. So I'll shoot it over to Maria first.
I am Pocket Ninja 85 on Twitter and Pocket Ninja 85 on Twitch. I haven't streamed in a while though.
Me neither.
Neither of any of us, to be honest, Maria. It's been a busy time.
It's been a while.
It's been a very busy month for me. So.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Steph.
I am Stephanie Does VO on Twitter. That's where I am most of the time. I have Stephanie Does VO on Instagram as well, but I sometimes forget Instagram exists. So I don't post there quite as often.
Well, sure.
And on Twitch and various other gaming platforms, I am Jicori. That's Jicori.
Dickory.
Jicori.
You can find me at Pagan Plays on Twitter and at Pagan_Plays on Instagram and Twitch.
And I am Stark Evil Vash on most platforms, but I am Stark E Vash on Twitter, STARK Hawaii VASH. And I am recently, it's been a long month, so I haven't done a lot, but hopefully I'll be getting some more content out soon. I'd really like to get back into streaming again soon if I can. I'm also very much on like building up a retro game convention, so I might start sharing our retro game collection. I have a massive collection, but then I just went to this retro game convention last weekend. We got an Atari, got an original N64, got a new Xbox.
Nice.
Oh, man, I got a whole bunch of retro
Wow.
games, so we're gonna play us some Atari.
Let's do it.
It sounds fun.
Space Invaders.
Yes.
Got it.
I loved Space Invaders when I was a kid.
So great.
Me too. So many hours.
Brandy was like, "What do you know about Atari?" I was like, "I had one, and I had a Space Invaders cabinet that I would."
What do
play.
you know about Atari, puppy?
Yeah,
you puppy.
I'm gonna get it. I swear to God.
We'll get you
I'll
a
get it.
you puppy shirt.
You puppy.
Thank you.
So you'll be walking around calling everyone else you puppy. Anyways, with that,
What do I call him? Dog? You old dog?
You old
Oh,
dog.
that actually works. I'll call people that.
Oh,
You old dog.
salty dog.
I like it.
Anyways, with that, let's say game over and good night, folks.
Yeah.
Also, ever since we changed the floor in here last December, I have this thing of wanting to like roll in and out of camera.
Nice.
Fascinating.
We-
So
I got carpet, so I can't.
That's amazing.